Okay, so everyone, welcome to Sajik. Sajik is part of Eurovac Group, so if sometimes I say Sajik or Eurovac, it's the same thing. We were acquired a few years ago. So this is the TechFellows Meetup. It's the 9th session, and today we'll be focused on the AI. We will be split into 2 blocks. That will be, one will be more for developers, one will be more for managers. And we will have a 10-minute breaks in between. So we will begin with the first group. So we have five panel. These people. Okay, so we have 5 speakers, and we will have 2 groups. So we cannot slice one day with half. One of them will be there twice. So let's introduce the first one of them, and the first speaker will be Marek Szuba. He is the principal. He enjoys the company. So he's a principal data engineer from Slido, now acquired by Cisco, and he's agile practitioner, enthusiast, but not evangelist, he said. So another participant will be Martina Ivaničová. She's ex-head of data at Kiwi, and where she led many people. Now she's in a startup where she has much smaller team, but much more hands-on. So she has perspective on both management and the developer side. And last one is Michal Záň. Michal is from Vacuumlabs, and he's leader and head of the AI tribe. And he's one of the rare people who actually spend time on analysis, ROI, thinking of the governance, and why to do this before he starts punching the keyboard. So applause for that, and I'm really curious to learn more from that. Actually, I have one question on everyone before I start asking questions here. So hands up, who believes that senior software engineer writes better code than any AI? Okay, sounds like 50-50. I was expecting more people leaning towards.
What's it's on. Try again.
What's your definition of better?
I'm supposed to ask questions. So my follow-up question was what's the point of AI if senior developers are better? But I don't feel like that many of you believe in that. So anyway, what's the point of AI in the software development then? If people can still write better code, that depends on how you define it.
Well, so I think there are like more things beyond writing good code. Like there are other aspects like how fast you can write that code, how efficiently. And also, like, you don't have, like, organization full of senior developers, but you still want to give this capability of expressing your ideas in code to other people. So that's another benefit out of my mind.
Yeah, so my 2 cents are, well, the gist of everything here is the ability to bring value to clients. And the more efficient the developers are, the bigger value for less money you can actually bring to clients. So that's a nice thing to be able to do.
Okay, so you touched the E word, effectivity, that every manager loves to hear that.
Yeah.
And they all ask to increase effectivity. So how do I know I'm more effective with AI?
That's a really good question. Well, I can answer you from the manager's point of view and from developer's point of view. From the developer's point of view, the more obvious question or the most obvious answer is I can close more Jira tickets, but that's probably not what you're looking for. But it also have something to do from the human standpoint. When I can do more work and feel less tired at the end of the day. And that's the benchmark for me as a developer.
Okay, and maybe Martina, from manager's perspective, is there a way to measure that?
Like definitely there are no metrics like there are and other similar metrics out there, and in my own experience we even try to like implement them, like calculate them regularly and present them, and we really were trying to get scrape data from Jira, GitLab, combine them and really calculate these numbers. Even after that effort, I don't trust that number so much. They are maybe just giving you some sense where you are heading, maybe trends. But back to your question, in my humble opinion, the metric which matters most here is developer experience. So that's like the crucial thing which is improved by tools, which we are talking about today.
I think it's a cool question to ask and a fiendishly difficult question to answer. There are these cool studies, you must have heard about them now, which are that they've let sort of very senior open source software engineers use a bunch of these tools, and they've self-reported what their sort of what they perceive their sort of efficiency gain has been. And the summary is as follows. Those that did not use it ended up being more effective. Those that felt like they've been more efficient ended up actually being slower when you sort of try to measure it via the sort of standard measurement, like standard measures, like I don't know, number of tasks closed or PRs published or whatever measure you like, even by line numbers, or change rate, or like some of the cool companies do things like how many changes can I land without increasing the ratio of reverts, for instance. Yeah. So like that's some of the, like you can play with the metrics such that you get boundaries from some sort of boundaries from both sides. At the end of the day, all of this is completely gameable. And if you let something like a closed system sort of be laid this way, I guarantee you it's going to be single line comments as much as you can. So there's multiple changes and things like that. Reinforcement learning, which many of these use, sort of directly optimizes for things like this. So like you get that. So back to the question, it's difficult to see. It's difficult to see how do you measure something like that. And I do think that there is something intangible in sort of changing the way you work. I do think that sort of writing that code has never been such a big deal. I do think the software engineers would in their own would agree. Like figuring out what code to write, whether to even write it, to what extent to write it, how to write it such that it's manageable, maintainable, robust and kind of ready for the future. That has been, at least in my experience, the much more difficult problem. And so if we are able to sort of generate way more code than we did previously, I don't think that directly translates into the whole process being faster, more efficient, and all something like that. But something did change, and the fact that there is more code out there is being generated is certainly.
Okay, that was exhausting answer. You said British the answer is exhausting. So I heard that you are building a lot of apps per day, actually. So I think you could say that it helped you with like effectivity. So what's your take on it? How would you answer for yourself?
It's like this. I like the things that I built are on three levels. Some of it is production code, and there I don't think it helped significantly. Some of it is I still do what some would say science. I still do some experiments like that end up being published somewhere. In there, it has been interestingly helpful, but with all the other things, not necessarily code, but you need to sort of prepare, a bunch of visualizations and stuff like that. In there, if you can nicely review the code, there it has been helpful. But where it has been significantly more helpful than I thought it would be, is that it completely changed the narrative about how much activation energy do you need to create a small tool, app, something for yourself. Again, how much activation energy, so the amount of energy from which point on it makes sense to even start it, do you need to actually even consider it. Previously it was pretty high for me, like I'm running crazy amount of things at the same time, like that not really successfully. And so what the self-help gurus will tell you, focus, attention, the last career, things like that. So it's like you would fight it. You would fight not getting distracted and things like these. These days I don't really know. Like as I was saying to multiple people when we came in, I never slept much before, but I'm not sleeping now. The tokens are not gonna get cheaper anymore. So it's like in that sense, it did change. Something did change, and part of it is that yes, a small tool that I always wanted to put together is now really just a prompt away. And if it's just a prompt away, oh boy, is it an addictive feeling. So that probably is a change.
So I will summarize. So you just do like 50 times more things than you did previously.
It certainly is on at least one order of magnitude. I'm not saying these things make sense even long term. I'm not saying it like they will outlive like this year or things like that. But at the point where they've been built, they have been helpful. So like previously I would try to chain together 7, 8 standard Linux commands. These days I'm not going to do that. Like I can get a completely specific bash script for my specific problem, and that is basically how that gets solved.
Cool. So in one of the answers I heard that it's not about doing stuff, but choosing the right stuff to do. And maybe a question to Michal. So you specifically highlighted that you focus or spend time on ROIs, or return of investment, and to actually do the analysis before you start doing that. So how do you do that if it's so easy to just do the prototype and see?
Well, that's one of the strategies to do the prototype. But it's about talking with clients. It's about like figuring out why they need the AI, if they need the AI. That's the first question. Is this an AI problem that you are trying to solve, or are you just pushed to AI by stakeholders? The next thing is also like you ask them, like, we have these processes we want to get like way more effective. Okay, so what are the processes? Where we have this guy, and he has all the processes in his head. When you talk to the guy, it's just a gut feeling in process. So that's not a process. How can you apply AI to shitty processes or messy data and hope that it will solve all your problems at the end of the day? And but the prototypes you mentioned a really great way for actually starting the discussion with the client, that they actually see that AI will not solve this particular problem. Maybe we can reframe or rephrase the problem so we can actually bring value to you. So that's where also the ROI comes from, because you can spend a lot of money on prototypes, POCs, R&D, and not get anywhere and spend a lot of money. So this is actually a really important question to ask the client on the first meeting, like, what is your expected ROI? Usually they are like, we should probably figure that out. I'm like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, okay, so before we burn the corporate money, definitely. So we drifted a little bit, so we wanted to talk more about the developers, right? So developers using a copilot with the base model. Is it enough?
Me?
Whoever feels.
I don't even know what the base model is these days. Like I'm not sure which one.
Me neither. But many of them use it.
I guess I have to update my priors on Copilot. I tried GitHub Copilot CLI today. It's actually pretty okay, but you get Sonnet 4.5 out of the box. So I guess that might be it. If we take it generally, like whatever you get when you install any of the tools, like can be even, I don't know, Windsurf or Kilo even if you are AWS invested. Much of it probably very much depends on everything else but the model itself, but the scaffolding. What I mean by that is that the off the shelf, your kind of outputs will very strongly relate to the input you provide. That's very basic. But what I mean by that is that the name of the game is basically context engineering, which you must have heard about. In other words, it might be that the base model is enough, assuming you very concretely describe what the code base looks like, what the standard tooling looks like, that the model can do tool call that will run the tests if there are any, and if it changes something around the parts where the test already exists, and so on and so forth. So in principle, it might be. In a specific code base, it will probably vary. My general sort of preference would be to use tools that kind of very quickly kind of make sense of what the code base looks like, summarize it, provide it to me, allow me to kind of go deeper into the code base and sort of verify that it's not completely hallucinated. And these tools normally will be synthetic, will not be LLM provided. Like this will be the sort of synthetic trees that they do.
So you got it from base copilot model to really deep. So I will back up a little bit. So how does a person who is beginning with developing together with AI, how do they choose from this plethora of like tools and models, and how do they start?
I don't know. I feel for them. We are in a massive gold rush, and everyone will try to sort of sell you something right now. Personally, I would say give it a month, try to go as deep as you can, and sort of reevaluate afterwards. Never ever sort of do these. I'll buy a yearly subscription thing. Like you probably lost value mostly because we don't know what it's going to look like 6 months from now, not even a year ago. But I would say do these sort of targeted experiments more than anything else. So,
okay, so
I'll put this away. But if you want direct names, I can name them too.
After 1 month, everything changes and you can start over. So.
Anyway.
Yeah, again, to the base model question, me personally, I like the flexibility of like changing the underlying model. That's why I use Klein, I really love it. But I see, so you can I'm switching from Gemini to Sonnet and back and forth. But what I see that there is like zero loyalty to tools among people I know. So they are like switching from Cursor to Cloud Code back and forth. That this is the world we are in, and things are changing so fast that you cannot purchase one-year subscription for anything basically. But maybe the question related to base model, not the base model, but what I see, what we realized within my team is that we need some common prompts which we give the same prompt to our tools so they keep the same guardrails. So if you build it just like on our prototype, doesn't really matter. But if you are already collaborating on a certain common code base, you need something which keeps that code base in a certain way. So this is one thing which I would add to that base model.
Yeah, well, two things. First, I will get it from the end. I want to react to the common prompts, and that's one of the first things that we did when we started using Windsurf or Cursor. Is that I think that Cursor has it also, but Windsurf has the rules thingy when you can basically have a master prompt where you have basically guidelines on how to generate code, what to do, what not to do, and stuff like that. So you want to unify the outputs as much as you can. And also, besides the rules in Windsurf, we also use the MCP servers, for example, Context 7, which provides you documentation code snippets for different frameworks and languages. So this also helps to unify the outputs. And when the question is which model, it doesn't really, like, yeah, everybody has preferences, but what's more important than the base model is the agentic workflow on top of that, which is specific to a tool like Windsurf or Cursor or Cloud Code or anything. But when, I think it was when Cursor came out and then Windsurf, they were the first like that really did the good job in the agentic workflows for code generation. But nowadays it really is like everything on the same level, and if you, so my advice would be just pick one, it doesn't matter, you will see, and just sit with it and play with it and fail miserably and then you will learn, that's all.
I got a small thing to add. These, I can certainly echo the have a sort of common, it's not really master prompt, but more like a set of instructions that will, provide the proper at least starting point for the model. There is a standard for it. It's called agents.md now. Unfortunately, we are in this sort of Klondike period where everyone is trying to get rich, and so not many of these tools you sort of support it. Cursor has its own cursor rules. Windsurf has its own specific thing. Cloud Code has its cloud.md. But if you symlink it, it's the same exact thing. It just gets copied into the first part of the prompt. So agents.md is the standard, and I do think we'll end up adopting it generally.
So a lot of smart things were said, and let's imagine that for a moment I'm still the guy using the base Copilot, right? And I want to enhance my game a little bit. So what are the tips to go from real basic to at least like semi-pro? Somebody who's like more fluent and more utilizing the power.
I would say start with the AI first IDs or with the editors, because what was the thing that blew my mind when the Windsurf started or Cursor was the ability to actually crawl the code. And what we use, how we generate code is that I always push my developers to write the documentation, keep it in MD files in the code base, and first iterate the idea, create the document, the design document for the feature or whatever that is that you are trying to generate, and then generate the code, because the AI first IDs or editors can crawl through the code and through the documentation and figure out like what exactly is needed, where the context is, so you don't have to provide the whole context in the prompt. So that was a game changer for me, at least.
Okay.
I tried Copilot like maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. I never came back, so I cannot compare the Copilot to anything else. But the things I tried, it is super easy. It is like, I think that the question is like just opposite, like how not to be like, how not to dive too deep immediately, but to keep control, because it is super easy. You just say any of your idea, you're one prompt away from your app. And whether you use Cursor, Code Climb, my favorite, or whatever. So other way around, it's not like how to go away from Copilot with base model, but how not to be too caught into like more fancy tools.
Okay, so sometimes it happens for people that they really want to use anything, but they are not lucky to be in a startup, but they are in more of a regulated scale-up or corporate. So what do you recommend to these people who do not have this like freedom to choose? I personally see many people just using their own personal, tools, personally sourced tools. So what's your recommendation for these people?
It depends whether you can or cannot use any of it. Like if you are stuck with, say, GitHub Copilot, it actually got way better. It actually did get significantly. It did get significantly better with the CLI tool. At least from my experience, it's not near Cloud Code or Codex anywhere, but it's not there probably. It's probably a little bit low, but it's probably possible. I think mostly like driven by the market pressure. I do think that if you can use any of these tools and the company is paying for it, I think you should. Like, no matter how not great they feel like, or like you heard on LinkedIn, Twitter, or wherever you get the news from, that they're not too great. I think you should try them out, like as much as you can. Have procurement yell at you that you used up the tokens, but make your own judgment. Like, most importantly, make your own judgment. Like, figure out for yourself whether it does or doesn't make sense. Is what my suggestion would be. Basically, all of them now supports MCP protocol, so like monotonous protocol. If you never experienced it, get something like browser use in there, or something on that level. Have it control your browser. See if you can like get the whole feedback loop of it generates something, it tests on its own whether it works, and like makes its own mind to work. Try to get something like that together. And the second you do, then you are very close to the point where if you can have a very solid definition of the idea and a solid way of describing whether it's been built properly, you are in a sort of boxed environment where you can just sort of like rotate around the tokens effectively until you kind of converge to a solution, like most likely. So that's what I would say.
So your tip is to, like, if you have something, then just use it fully. Yeah. And my question is, I'm not so familiar with these ideas, so can you somehow tune the existing one? Is there a way to make it better? It's like, you know, when you have a car and you stick better wheels on it.
It depends. So it depends. The very first thing you should do in a specific code base, I think, is exactly what already has been mentioned. Have some sort of an HTML file or some sort of standard kind of definition of what goes where. You probably have it in the README anyway. Hopefully, like the code base is probably ready for, you know, someone. Doesn't have to be junior, but it's probably a somewhat, like, if someone who doesn't really know the code base gets into it, one would hope that, you know, there is some documentation there. So like, you would probably build it anyway. That's first. Second, there are various add-ons you probably can add, but you are significantly curtailed by various things. First and foremost, by the context size of the models. That's basically the ultimate resource you have. It's precious, and you have to sort of make sure there's not too, like, you don't, for instance, use too many MCP servers. It's a bit more advanced, but that also ends up being a problem. And so I don't think there's like a bunch of add-ons you can completely explicitly add, but I do think that you can have tooling at the very least. Like, basically all of these are able to run tools on your machine that can significantly make it easier for you to develop stuff. One standard example is have front-end and back-end errors go to the same file. Why is that? Mostly because if you have to debug your front-end by copying from some, you know, dev console somewhere, who's gonna do that? Like having it in the same place significantly improves even the AIs, or like the LLM sort of kind of debugging power at the end of the day. So like things like that. Build your own tooling, which you would probably build anyway, and sort of tailor it such that you can get it back to the context of the LLM as quickly as possible, is my general answer. Okay, so I'll summarize. So just use whatever there is and maximize the usage of it, because it's still better than nothing. I would like to follow up with one of the questions from the Slido, and there's actually one very useful. So, how do you use AI tool for developers on a daily basis? So, from your perspective, what was most useful for you? What do you recommend?
Well, that's the thing that I wanted to react to what was mentioned, and that also applies to this question is, if there is something about your daily work that annoys the shit out of you, use the AI to make the problem go away. Somehow figure out exactly. For example, the debugging and going the logs, putting logs in one place. That's exactly the way of thinking that we need to train developers to do. Like, how can I make this easier for myself? how can I make this easier for the LLM to provide a better service for me? So I think that the most obvious answer is to iterate on ideas. For example, I had this kind of discussion with my friend, and we definitely agreed on that you have two ways of solving the problem. And you have the depth first, when you prototype and you go somewhere. And then you have the breadth first, when you iterate on multiple ideas from different sides, and you pick the most efficient one, and then you go deeper. And the first is that you can find a solution really quickly, but it will not be the most efficient one. The second one is that you will take a lot longer, but you will find the most efficient solution. And what AI can help us with significantly is the speed of iteration over different ideas and reasoning over them, and talking to ChatGPT and saying like, this is my problem, this is my idea, be the devil's advocate, find the logical holes, tell me the things that I obviously didn't think about. This is at least for me the most useful AI tool or usage of AI in my everyday life.
Okay. Any more tips?
So in my position, like half manager, half hands-on, is AI tool I'm using is super useful for me for pull request reviews. So this is what I really use it on a daily basis, and I got a tip from Marek on a nice pull request review thingy with Cloud Code. I'm still using it the old way, but it is really like nice to let you one tool generate your code, another one to let it review. And on a daily basis, I code with Klein, and what I would add to what Michal said is, yes, it helps you fasten these iterations, but typically, like previously, I would maybe like delegate maybe some feature I had in mind to someone to implement it, then I would maybe review it and go back and forth. And people are actually shy to like complain about not being something precisely like this. But the AI is never like, you are not shy of AI. So you can change your mind 1,000 times a day, and along the way, you are actually forming the solution, how it looks like. So this is where it helps me most.
Marek?
I guess let's go to another question. I believe we already.
Yeah, okay. So, it's hard to read from this. So, this one is very complicated. So, people used to navigate using paper maps, now they do it digitally, so we believe that they lost the ability. Will this happen also to developers when they start developing through AI? Will they lose?
I think they already. Who here wrote any assembly in their life? How much assembly have you wrote in the last 10 years? Thank you very much. I mean, it's inevitable in a way, but I do think to some extent we'll adapt to it, and those who actually, I do hope that those that actually care about the craft will use it to propel them. Like what I'm very sort of very afraid of is what this is gonna do to the armies of junior developers that I meet at school when I still teach. Like that there, I am very afraid. Much more afraid than
you touched
developers.
one thing I'm interested. So, should there be any difference in approaching the AI based on your seniority level? So, if you have like junior person and senior.
I promise this is the last sentence. I do think I do think so. Mostly because when you have written those 10 million lines of code already, you have some like I don't know how to describe it. Like, you get some you get some feel for what the solid code base looks like, what solid code looks like, and when you see generated, you don't know what the solid part looks like, but this is not really it. So again and again, when you are junior, does it fix the test case? Yeah, well, there you go. And that's probably the biggest difference. When you have this sort of, I guess, a sense of style or a sense of a deeper appreciation of what solid code versus non-solid code looks like, yes, I do think you are much better suited to make use of these macros.
Okay, so excellent. So you have this spider sense for good code, and how does junior? What's the tips for juniors then? Because what I heard is that they can really learn the bad habits quickly. So how to recommend them to use it so they actually learn properly?
I'm maybe opposite like you on this, because again, like if you are a junior and you want to learn something, when you are like talking to your senior colleague, you are like always feel that you are somehow wasting your time. And if you talk to some LM, like you can ask questions again, ask about patterns, ask it to explain it and explain it. Okay, maybe this is not like perfect today, but you are not like, you can learn without having the pressure that you are like, wasting someone's time and so on. So I think this is maybe in some sense easier for juniors now in this era.
Well, I think that this has multiple layers. First one is that, if you make juniors more effective and doing the bad thing, you have a lot of trouble. At the same time, it's a question of leadership. Like, if you have good leader as a junior, you will learn fast. That's the thing. The other thing is that for these purposes, you have the rules as the agent and the whatever, however you call it. The other thing is that this is a great opportunity for teaching people in general, not just juniors, to critically think about what they are doing. So which can go, it's double-edged sword. It can go really bad, it can go really, really good, but then again, it goes back to the leadership they have.
Okay, so take care of your juniors, that's the point. And I think excellent one, it's a job of every IT leader. So there's a question slightly related to that. So what should we as IT leaders be afraid of in terms of introduction of AI into software engineering? What are the threats, pitfalls?
I would say that the most obvious one is losing relevance, the market relevance if you don't. Because this is something that will not go away.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. There is a question specifically for Marek, so let's give it to Marek. Marek. So you think the ability to know what the solid code look like will stay for that? Isn't it just another pattern matching AI will master eventually?
It's a solid question and a very fair pushback. I do think it's not just about the piece of code though. Like on a level of a single function, certainly it's probably way better than I. Certainly way better than I am. That's why I use it. But on the level of how do I scaffold the database such that it's useful for the future. We know right now that you get 400,000 tokens. You cannot really put the full actual big code bases into something like that. So I do think it will get better. Likely, more pattern matching will happen, but there will still be this sort of what humans are good at on the brain level is potentially disconnected ideas together. And if you have spent a solid amount of time with a code base, I still believe that it will take at least a couple of years for something like this to sort of catch up to what a solid setup in there looks like. Mostly due to the massive amount of context you need to have, and not just in the code base itself, but also on how, you know, how even just this sort of framework is normally used. What is the canonical way of using things like that? So I do think it will take a long time before it gets there. Plus, it very much the current versions of these LLMs are sort of trained such that they basically try to generate a bunch of solutions to code problems effectively, and the second test pass, they're good, and that's what they're sort of memorizing in their parameters. And so, unless that changes significantly, it will be very difficult for it to sort of get this sense of what solid code looks like. On smaller scale, yes. Larger scale, very unlikely.
Okay, conscious of time, we will have one last question, then we will have a break. So, I like this one. Where is it? It moved. Okay, in software development, maintaining existing code base and evolving it over time is crucial. How do you see AI helping there? Who wants to take that?
That's a really good question. Maybe I would say that it's really dangerous to actually oversee AI generating a code in a legacy code base that has a lot of shitty code, because it has a tendency to keep the quality that it already has in the code base. And also, like we have sort of non-technical people that do the analysis with the clients that generate some real quick mock-up in Bolt or Laravel or whatever. When you try to build on top of that code, you will have a really hard life. So I would say we will see. This is a problem I don't think anyone really solved yet. So if you have something to say from the publicum about that, I would really love to hear it.
Like, I think it is easy until the AI is smarter. It is still the combo of a dev and the repo, you know. So I sit down and I have a really like huge, not huge, but like a medium-sized repo. So today I don't just do YOLO. I now tell exactly like here implement a new service, new model, you know, like I provide better instructions, and AI is still helping me much. And I believe today, in 2025, we are not yet there that you can give a huge report to AI and it will sort it out. So it's a tandem for now.
Yeah, I agree. I will have quick question for each one of you, and then we wrap up for the first part. So each one of you, what's your favorite all-time favorite tool that you have used? I know that you keep changing them, I got that, but which one was the most favorite so far for each one of you? No explanations needed.
So, in response to the question previously, if you haven't tried Codex, like Codex with GPT-5 on high reasoning for refactoring, if it's Go, TypeScript, JavaScript, Python, even Java, very likely, it's very good. Just let it sort of come up with a plan for refactoring and sort of do it. Worst case scenario, you get the same code, right? Like, I mean, you just remove that. So it's like I do think there's going to be value in that. What I'm using right now still is sort of a combo of maybe half and half between Cloud Code and Codex. I'm happy to talk to people offline then about how and about some tips and tricks. But I've kind of abused Anthropic and Claude so much at this point that I don't know. Like this is crazy to say, but it feels like at some point then you start to know how to talk to it, and so like that's and there are a bunch of tools I built for it to be a better tool. So yeah, I use Cloud Code and Codex quite a bit.
Thanks for the tip, Martina.
So I use Climb, which is a plugin to VS Code, and I use it with Cloud Sonnet, a model. So you can choose a model there. and I prefer it over code because code is I need to talk to them, Marek,
Maybe do.
because code is somehow two verbs for me, and I don't know. Yeah, so
Excellent. We will have a networking part after the second, so you can join Martina and Marek discussing this topic. Michal.
So for me, it's windsurf, but not for the code generation, but for creating the documentation of processes, of projects, for I don't know, documenting or iterating on the lessons learned or post-mortems on projects and stuff. So to generate the documentation and reason about that documentation, that's my go-to.
I love the focus on the long-term maintainability. It's very important aspect of software engineering, not spoken so much about. Thank you all, and now we will have a 10-minute break, and then we will continue. Thank you. So we are continuing with a more of a organizational / engineering management point of view, and we will have Roman. Roman is from TD Synex. He's a business development manager. He's AI enthusiast. He's the one who can help to validate if your organization is ready for AI and what it takes. Then we have Martina again, and the last one is Jirka. Jirka is from Circlox. He's the senior engineering manager, former web developer, and he is navigating AI world in the complex healthcare environment, which is interesting perspective. So please have a seat. And thank you. I forgot about that. Quick question to everyone again before we start. So, who is using some sort of AI tool to work for their company? So I'm using. It's like ChatGPT, many things. So I see that most of you, and who uses his private for the company? Cool. So it's like half and half. So where I'm getting is that many of you are using your private sourced AI, if it's IDE or ChatGPT or whatever. And typically there's this issue that you are using the company data, IP rights and everything, and you are using it to the private sourced AI. That seems a bit of a problem. So what we can do? So people obviously want to use AI, but they're using their private for some reason. So how do we put this chaos into some order?
Definitely the leaders should look on it that it can happen in two ways. You can have a change from bottom to the top. So I am using my private ChatGPT, and I will reach our company, hey guys, we would like to implement some AI solutions. I can show you the ROI of my workflows. Or on the other hand, it can come from top to the bottom. For example, our company, we are somehow distribution of Microsoft. So it came from top. They gave us copilots, they created our own TD Synex AI solution, and the change came from top. We already have some boundaries. I cannot use ChatGPT for internal, for company data. So that's how it can work. Either from bottom to the top, I will fuel the change, or top to the bottom.
I was lucky being the last, I don't know, for 4 years in companies which were really like keen on like adoption of anything. So like enterprise subscription is obvious. Like you know, really, if you buy enterprise subscription to your employees, they will not like pay for their own, definitely. But on the other side, like definitely using API keys from the models which are served, for example, OpenAI served from Azure, and Gemini served from Vertex. So where you can guarantee that the inference happens maybe in a UU region if you are like obliged to, and that you are actually like having inference from the model which you have in a like, more controlled environment, and not like putting the data open and directly with your private plan. So I think if, as you said, if this comes from the top and it is already embedded in the mindset of the company, it is very like straightforward and everybody will jump into this way.
I would say you as a company should definitely let your developers experiment. So even if so, it means they will use your company keys to actually do their own work. Because you want to like find the champions in the company, then you want to promote them, and then you want to like create a demand to actually spread the AI knowledge in your company. So I think you should definitely like let them to actually experiment on the company keys. But of course, you should have some kind of good security practices in place. For example, the obvious one, like the separate user data from the source code. And we can actually talk about what good security practices means later on. But I think definitely you as a company should definitely let the developers experiment with the company keys, setup, enterprise context, and so on.
Okay, so the takeaway is that we should definitely, if it's possible, look for a paid solution provided by company. That's obviously the best one, right? And if that's not possible, then we can still promote that, but we have to be cautious of the security. That's the message here.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what if the company is providing such tool? So for example, I'm not familiar with others, but I'm familiar with Microsoft 365. And they say that you don't need ChatGPT, you have this copilot chat here, and my personal experience is that it's not the same. So I feel like the copilot is much more inferior in that. And how do we navigate these kind of issues?
I've had the same opinion as you. Previously, I was using ChatGPT paid version, and Copilot was, I always said it's like 3 or 4 months not up to date. So if there was a new LLM in ChatGPT, it was straight away in ChatGPT. And in Copilot, we've been waiting 4 or 5 months to implement it. But currently, when new GPT-5 was released, it took like 4 or 5 days to get it in Copilot. Currently in Copilot, you can even switch the language model. So we are not vendor login. So currently at M365, you can use Claude and GPT.
Yeah, okay. All right. So back to the developers for a little bit. So what if, as a team leader, I want to start using AI with my team? So I see that they are starting to do it. They resource it personally. So how do I start with introducing it officially, so it's under control, governance, and its IP is protected and everything? So where do we start?
Yeah, so as I briefly mentioned, like you definitely like want to train these people. You want to give them actually the opportunity. You want to give them like time in their working hours to actually try and experiment with that. But then you have to set the clear expectation. Let's say you will be able to work and play with the AI experiments, whatever. But then you have to like share what you learn. You have to share like what you try, why you try, what went wrong, what you went wrong, and so on. So set the expectation, find the champions, and then promote them. And yeah.
Go into your procurement team and scream and scream and scream. That's the solution. And read the license information, because really the enterprise subscription gives you much more protection. So maybe this is one thing you can tell your procurement team, that if you don't buy it, you are increasing the risk that people will use their personal ones, and you are putting the company in risk actually. So please buy us the enterprise version.
Of course, you have to educate people in your company from bottom up, but especially educate your leaders. But the obvious one and the simplest one, like to create a checklist. If somebody wants to like to try a tool, they're allowed to do it. They have to just look for the checklist. They have to tick all boxes, and as long as it's all green, just let them use it.
Okay, so I see that we should always support it, right? And you said that the go to procurement and screen and scream. So I can imagine going to procurement is the right step. How do I increase my chances to get it actually approved and purchased?
I would skip this question because again, I was in a company which was really keen and wanted to have like every model available, deployed library chat. That's maybe very first thing, and plug in all the models. So I will pass.
So are there any toolkits in the panel?
Okay, so I would scream that we really do not need AI as a tool, but as a productivity solution and maybe efficiency solution. So we are not trying to get AI tool as a software or something like that. Try to come with a story. Like previously, we've been dealing with the reports on Friday for 2 hours. Currently, I can get it done in 20 minutes, and I've already prepared for our Monday meeting. So try to come with a story. It's not like we are trying to sell the solution. Even when I'm like on a business meeting, I'm never trying to sell the solution itself. It's mainly about what it can offer to you, how it can speed up your processes, how to be more efficient. So that's my opinion.
Okay, so it's ROI but said as a story.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm from the sales team, so it's all it.
Yeah,
More
okay.
story-wise.
Yeah. All right, so it's not easy to do, so you can ask ChatGPT to help you. Okay.
It's actually a nice thing to ask Copilot how to verify Copilot in your company. It can definitely give you some ideas, but mostly the ROI with the story is the best.
Okay, Jirko, so how was it? How did you start with the Surblocks with the AI for your teams? So you are still a startup, or?
Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us a little bit about it, how it went. So from bottom up.
Yeah, I have to say we have been hesitant from the beginning. So because we didn't want to like do the wrong choice. So we started like with the easy one. We started with GitHub Copilot, and I know it has been said a lot about it, but it's getting very good these days, and it's a pretty good tool. But probably what I want to say is that there is always some kind of risk, and you shouldn't be afraid of it. You should only be trying to mitigate that risk. What does it mean in practice? Well, it always depends on the culture, and it always comes down to the people. So you have to make sure that every single person in the company understands what kind of risk they are actually dealing with.
Okay. So in case that you don't have so much understanding management who approves the budgets, right? So how do you do that? How do you come to them and try to procure, to actually persuade them that AI is needed here?
So the question is how to actually get approval for the budget to actually try the AI tools. Okay, I would say probably the best way how to look at it is as a innovation. I guess every single company has some kind of budget for the innovation and just cut from the budget. And definitely what's the wrong wrong approach to actually to get into it is to look for the performance or efficiency. This is probably the lowest way how to actually sell to your management, because at the end of the day, it's the zero-sum game. Developers may be more effective, more productive. They will use it to actually do work which they hate, but at the end, they will actually spend that save time to something that they like. So they will do something better. They will enjoy reading some research. They will use that time for something else. So it's zero-sum game. So I would definitely didn't look as something which should improve efficiency.
So we just need to prove that it's efficient.
I mean, it's not. But let's be honest, it's not efficient at the moment. You have to experiment a lot. You have to spend a lot of time on it, and you have to make sure you understand what you are doing. And at the moment, we are at the stage where we have to try a lot. And at the moment, I'm pretty sure it's not efficient. It can cut some time which you are doing the task which you don't like, but at the end, it's not that efficient in summary.
Okay. Is every company or organization suitable for AI transformation? I mean, when I say AI transformation, I mean, are they ready to be introduced to the tools and everything? It sometimes can cause more harm than right.
I don't know. I think at some point every company should be trying to get ready for it, because it's something what will happen. AI will come, and you should definitely like try to find ways how to implement AI into your workflows, whatever. But are you ready? I don't know.
Maybe I'm sorry because it's your job to ask questions, but especially in your case, where you are dealing with medical records, this is, in my opinion, that's super important that you are like exact, precise, and you don't do mistakes. So, is it ready for LLMs? Is it ready for Gen AI?
There are ways how to mitigate the risk. For example, you are not gonna send any user data to some third-party services, not ChatGPT, not Grok, not Gemini, whatever. You will have to find on-prem solutions which will be only for you, which will be behind firewalls, whatever. And you have a like DEA with the companies which will actually make sure that no data is actually used or trained and so on.
So you're saying that we should avoid like these public tools, and then when we are dealing with sensitive data, I would say then we need to definitely go on private.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense. So for a moment, let's switch to managers, just for a bit. So we talked a lot about how developers use AI tools. Are there any tools that are making managers' lives easier? With some examples, maybe.
Many. There is this tool, no-code agent. It's called NAN. I hate that name, but it's basically like Zapier alternative. You can create your agent just by clicking in the workflow. Everyone knows Zapier. So it can be so powerful. Like you will create the agent actually. Like let's say you have a lot of online meetings. With the meetings, you have online transcription. Every single tool does have online transcription. If you use it, you can actually use it to actually create your personal brain for every single person, for every single direct report you are actually using. Then you can ask, based on that text, based on the person said, what do you think are their values? Then they will tell you like, this person value pragmatism, he likes in details and so on. So, for example, like getting and creating knowledge, this kind of brains for people we are working on, it can be very helpful to actually like be better understand the person and what they need and how to work with them.
I think it's good that you mentioned no-code tools, because I think they are that like they will be dead soon.
Yeah, but I don't think so.
Because it is I use Langflow, I use NA a bit, I Zapier as well, but it is so much easier just to, we are back to vibe coding, but it's so much easier to just prompt it and tell it what you want than to click it and watch YouTube videos, how do you do some niche feature in that tool. So my intuition says that no-code tools are come down to that.
So I try to position myself more as a manager than a developer. And currently I use Copilot for M365, which is like Teams, Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, Power BI, etc. I use it already for a year and a half. Last week I didn't have an access to internet, and I was preparing some presentation. I was so much slower, and it was so much frustrating without Copilot that I completely forgot that I have it, even in Outlooks, just to reply to email. I discussed grammatics today with with somebody, it's always hard for me to use the right punctuation and everything. So it's already implemented in my way of working as a manager, and there are a lot of tools which can help you. You can even build agents on top of that. So even that's a nice topic, agents for your teams.
Okay. Okay. So we had this very controversial debate. So let's quickly come back to that. So you said the no code will die slowly, and you don't think so?
No, I can understand this point of view because I'm a software engineer as well. So I completely understand your point, and from me, it's also somehow very hard to do that. But that's our bubble, and in most cases, that's not the case. And there is one more thing I want to say. You can actually use the MCP servers to actually create that workflows for you. But so that means you will not have to need to click it and do it in workflow, whatever. But then you can also have a cloud code to actually create that workflow and just publish it, and that's that.
Yeah, I just wanted to you said that we are in our bubble.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you that our founder recently, maybe a month ago, discovered Cloud Code, and the world changed. Spending hours and hours with Cloud Code, and actually, doing everything in Cloud Code. So I don't think people will need this clickable, component workflows, this UI, if you can just talk. That's my point, and not only for us software engineers, but for business people.
You know that there are still leaders who only use AI to generate emails?
Who of you?
Have you been to corporate? So you both have excellent points. So Jirko, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, cloud code is super powerful, and you're lucky to have a CTO which actually came to this and realized that, and then you can use it forever. But this is not I think it's not the usual case. Let's be honest.
So okay, one segue. You said that the no code will die, but there's been these prophets that saying that many of the roles will not be relevant in the future. Luckily, so far we haven't seen that. We even seen that many companies laid off a couple of employees and hired them back. So what's your take on this?
So good that you mentioned that, because I now said that my intuition says that no-code tools will die. And when era of LLM started, my intuition told me that in my space of data, that data analysts will die out. And actually what I observed was that the opposite happened, and they even gained traction. And I will explain, because when LLMs came out, I thought, and many other people, actually maybe even in this room, thought that text to SQL is the major use case. You will just build something, and all the business people will suddenly talk to their data. And we actually even did some prototypes, and I don't know, maybe I made some introduction. I did some evangelization in the company where I was working. And I talked to a couple of people, and I tried to pursue them, maybe to use code interpreter back then in ChatGPT, or maybe the assistant in Looker. And what actually happened was that was not the major use case. The major use case was that business analysts, maybe data analysts not so skilled, suddenly had access to Gemini in Colab. Colab is the online Jupyter notebook, and they were suddenly able to transfer their ideas or maybe their daily routines or reporting things into code and generate the insights, things which they already had in mind, but they were not able to do it efficiently, or maybe they had to wait for someone to implement it for them, for some data science thing. So basically they started to produce insights which were interesting and valuable. And when they like show these insights to business people, that gain traction, and they like gain more importance, and there were even like new open roles for data analysts in that company. So this was totally counterintuitive to what I thought. So maybe you don't need to trust me on no-code tools. But yes, so my answer is that yes, it will maybe, we will like see less of some roles, but my intuition in this case failed me. It was very opposite.
So which roles are first endangered?
Who
Who's first?
I don't know.
Salespeople?
My personal opinion is that the AI is reshaping the workflow. So it's not like AI will substitute you, but it will create a new AI roles. So for example, a lot of companies which are our customers, for example, did a lot of automation and fired some guys. But who is going to check the automation? If something gets wrong, who is responsible for the mistake? You cannot call Copilot and scream on him. So there will definitely be someone who is responsible for the AI processes. And if we speak about the code, I think that in the future, 100% of the code will be written by AI, but 100% of the code will be reviewed by a human. So I think about it this way, but maybe from the business perspective, I'm looking really into the future. So
I'm sensing some controversy here. So I have maybe different kind of question to this, right? So you said that. Now I forgot what was that because of the controversy. So.
100% of the code will be reviewed by
No, never mind. So you wanted to react, so please do, and if it comes to my mind back, then I will.
It's not reviewed even today by humans, so I don't think it will happen.
No, that's the lie you tell the business people,
Yes.
right?
I would probably just say that never ever fire people because of the AI. I think it's damaged the industry so much, and it makes the senior developers so skeptic. So I would definitely don't do it, don't recommend it. If I can be something, don't do it. But so if you are in the case where you will want to replace person with AI, it may happen. But if you are talking about software engineering or R&D development, just give them opportunity to become the generalist, give them opportunity to try something else, give them opportunity to become the product engineer. There is so many other places they can fill in, just don't fire them.
Maybe one funny thing I want to add to this is that like my son is in the final year of high school, and they had some like consultant sessions like with advisors of career advisors. And like after this session, or during the session, my son raised a hand and asked so what is the AI future? What is the future-proof job, or what is the job AI will not take from me? And the advice was cleaning lady.
It was a cleaning robot.
Cleaning lady was the advice from the teachers that this is the job which will not be taken by AI. So this is I don't envy young people, the world which is actually, but I hope that it will not be like that.
I maybe may add that, for example, I created an internal agent for our company. Everybody from 27,000 people can use it. It's a licensing manager, so you can ask a question about licensing. Mm-hmm. So maybe in the future, I won't be needed. But currently, I am already responsible for that agent. I need to work with him, I need to update the data. If something gets messed up, it's on me. So again, I reshaped my position. I'm not just BDM, I'm currently even AI responsible guy. I don't know what's the position.
So you all somehow agreed on that AI should not replace people, more to boost them, to use their hands more effectively?
If you are not willing to reshape your thinking and start working with AI, it can steal your job. If you are not willing to learn or move in your position, it can steal your job. But at current state of AI, I do think that it won't steal our jobs. So hopefully in 10 years I will still have a job. So we will see. We will see about this claim.
Do you think there are still managers who are not using any AI tools?
For sure. I meet them daily. So for sure.
Really?
Yeah, one thing which I get a lot is that we are testing Copilot, but it's not working very well, and they don't have Copilot license. It happens to me daily. Like daily, I get this call because you have Copilot chat for free, in Word. So I get it a lot, and even internally in our company, we are trying to do trainings for those who are a little bit older, let's say. So we try to show them our workflows, how we use it, and we try to implement it to our senior guys, let's say. Because if you have 5 years till the retirement, it's really like, why should I care? And then we try to explain it to them, and we do a lot of workshops and even this evangelization, let's say.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay. I'm looking at the question. I see there's not many, or maybe even no questions related to management, and there's more questions related to engineering. So
these are the original questions from previous sessions.
yeah, I see. That's what I'm saying. So I'm thinking if we still want to tackle some of these, do you guys feel like maybe some of that? I definitely feel like the MCP tool MCP do you use for checking the security of generated code, except please generate secure code prompt. Something that worth discussing.
We are just in process of implementing CodeRabbit. That's a big one. It works pretty well. It's a very young product, so implementation and rollout is kind of hassle because they are still figuring it out. So even I am spending a lot of time with their support to actually help us to set up because it doesn't work. But the review itself, it makes quite good changes. So I would definitely start with the basic one. The CodeRabbit is there, just pay for it. It's definitely gonna help you. It's not that expensive actually. So yeah, I can recommend that one, for example.
I use other model than the one which I used to generate the code to do the review of that code. So, but I will check out the CodeRabbit. Thanks for the tip. And so that. No, I didn't use any other tools, or other MCP servers to do the security check of the code, but definitely we have it in our catalog of risks. So we already put this risk in the catalog, and we are at least discussing it and thinking about it, and also focus on that in the pre-release test. So that's when it is on the radar.
If I can add, I would use even a prompt generator. Sometimes I use that. It's prompt agent with Copilot. You can download it, try to play with the prompt. And Copilot has a lot of tools. There's even a Copilot for security, which can take care of a few things. Important to say, we are at the start, so currently it's not definitely able to check your code, but that's where we are aiming. There are even some copilots for healthcare system. You have Copilot Dragon, which is solely focused on healthcare sector. But at those tools, we are at the start, so it's not ready to go.
Okay, so just stay vigilant and the extra care. So there's this. Let's satisfy the clown in the audience. So which AI is safer to share company private data with, a Chinese one or American one?
No.
I would add that if you are not paying for a product, you are a product itself. So that's it. Maybe a Chinese LLM which is paid, maybe secure, but I'm always a little bit on the Western side. So I would choose an American one, paid, so it's secure. It's not learning on your data. That's really important. Just pay for the product, and then the security will come with it. For example, Copilot is in the same tenant as you have data, and it's not sharing anything anywhere.
So answer is no. but for me, like this is no goal to share like any sensitive data to public LLMs. So again, we use OpenAI served from Azure in the EU region. Same for Gemini, we use it on Vertex AI served from Sweden region. So answer is like don't put sensitive data in public LLMs where you don't have at least the enterprise subscription, but preferably host the data in your cloud. Like use the models for inference in your cloud provider where you have at least some guarantee that it stays where it should stay.
Yeah, that's pretty good setup. And I would be probably caution, like you have to check a lot of the terms and conditions. They change a lot. Like at the beginning, you use service which is not training on your data, but they tend to change it. So just be careful.
I like the answer. So in general, trust no one and go private. We had that before. No?
Like completely private, like serving some open weights model on your hardware.
Not that private.
No, not that. Okay,
Not that
so
private.
that could be an option, but it's like quite
that would be
tricky and expensive and everything. But at least the hosted version.
So there's a question about the juniors and seniors. I really like that one, Martin. So what do you think about the AI doing all the junior devs tasks and making it harder for new people to enter the industry and become senior devs? So how do we navigate the career of the juniors?
We had this discussion in previous panel, but I would like to add that at the moment we get junior developers, but my controversial take on this is that junior developers will regret us in 2 or 5 years. And what I mean by that, I've definitely hired junior developers which are AI native. Person who is so dependent on AI that they cannot do anything else without AI. Of course, it does have the disadvantages, but this person is gonna teach your team, they will teach your senior developers how to be AI native and how to see that value. So I think this is really early on, but I'm already seeing this trend, and I think that's gonna probably happen. So junior developers will be again trendy, and if I can hire new people these days, I would definitely look for the junior developer which is AI native.
Yeah, I probably can agree on that, but from my perspective, I'm not a developer, but I can finally reach that space, understand it a bit. For example, I've never understand zeros and ones, never ever, but when I'm using Microsoft tool Power Apps with Copilot, I literally can write in my native language and it will generate something. So those things are a little bit closer to me without any education. That's my take on that.
So we'll pick last 2 questions and then we will move to the networking bit. So the question I wanted to read disappeared. Okay, never mind. So how do we evaluate efficiency if your AI resolves 10 issues in 10 minutes and also produces 50 new and exotic bugs that no human can retrace? I think that does not need any answering, right?
That's really nice sentence, but I do think, or I use it. Speaking with AI, working with AI is sometimes when I'm speaking to my girlfriend, like as much data as I give her, there's a huge chance she will understand me and there's not going to be any fight. So try to work with those prompts. Again, try to evaluate your prompt. Use some prompt agents. It may help. It's always about your impact. That's important.
That was really funny. It was like,
It is like that.
Is it like we are like building a personal assistant actually, and we have already like some test users, and actually who gave us consent to work with their data, with their conversation, and actually one lady told our agent, the assistant, that his is better than her husband. He can understand her better. So I would challenge maybe the developer because maybe sometimes they actually need less context than the real humans.
I was mainly speaking about like what's the weather, where, when. It's more like that. But I can imagine if you are speaking to LLM for a longer time, it can understand you much better than your other half. But I'm not at this point currently, so.
So last one from Mirko.
Maybe back to the question. I think if we ask for the efficiency, it's already lost battle. So as I said at the beginning, like if you want to measure something, let's measure AI impact. And there are actually a framework how to measure AI impact. For example, if somebody knows like getdx.com, they publish series, a lot of like articles and benchmark how to measure AI in the organization. I would definitely recommend to check it out. It's quite complex. It's basically like Dora, but for AI world. So if you want to start measuring this, I would even recommend start doing now. That means before you actually start implementing AI, because then you will have the data to actually compare it, and it's much easier for you to like see the trends. But again, don't look for the efficiency.
I don't know how much
Yeah.
time do we have, but
So-
to the measuring, like if you are doing like really like the AI application, like not like just using it for internal, but if you are doing something which you sell as a product, or maybe even chatbot, for this we spend quite a lot of time on evaluating that AI model. So you can talk to me after the session because it's not 4 or 5 minutes, it's for maybe half an hour.
Okay, so we will wrap up the panel part. Now, what we will do, thank you all again.
Thank you for invitation.
So, organizational updates. So we are here until 9, then we will do our best to kick you out, guys. Sorry for that. So please use this hour to network, make at least one new friend today. It's not that hard, it's just awkward, and you can manage awkward, I'm sure. So there's a tip, people will approach the speakers and discuss the topics with them, just join them, it's that easy, if you are shy. So thank you again for your attention. We had the developer discussion, we have more manager discussion. Now I think we will do it right. We will have a survey, so please give it a go. And leave us your feedback so we know what to do next time better. And thank you. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Ještě my jdeme na Outlook 21.40. 21 to the side of na autobus. Možno, že